Money, Power, Politics. And right now, one of the biggest financial issues for millions of Americans, doesn't matter who they vote for, is soaring electric bills that seem to have no limit. According to the Washington Post, average bills have jumped over 10% since last year in more than a dozen states, with some seeing increases beyond 20%. And more rate hikes have already been announced. Many Americans are blaming their lawmakers, saying they should do something. And those very lawmakers have turned around and placed the blame on data centers that support tech companies' AI projects. But it might not be that simple. With me now, an expert on this subject, Dave Weigel, political reporter for Semafor, who has been looking into this very issue, and Justin Wolfers, a professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. All right, Dave, you obviously have been on the 11th hour many, many times, but this is your first visit to my favorite segment of the show, Money, Power, Politics. So I wish you good luck. Explain to us how this has become a political and economic issue for people in places like Virginia and New Jersey that are about to elect new governors.
It hasn't become an enormous issue in the race for governor. It's bubbled up from the grassroots, from the local level. The first place I found somebody lose an election over their support for data centers was Prince William County, Virginia. And I covered a couple races in that county last week. Republicans and Democrats agreed. Elect them, they'll stop data centers. They don't have buy-in from the Republicans leading the ticket. Same thing in New Jersey. Republicans in both states are taking the position that if you don't like your energy bills, don't worry about the data centers. They create jobs. We should just explore for more energy, build more sources of energy. Democrats are starting to listen to activists who say, what is the benefit of having tax subsidies and carve-outs for data centers in our communities, dozens in Virginia this year that won permits? Why not slow this down? Why not build these somewhere else? Democrats are starting to listen to this first, but they don't want to be seen as anti-tech or anti-growth. They want to be seen as pro-cheap bills and let's slow this down. Let's make the companies, the biggest companies in the world at the moment who are building these centers, let's make them pay more to the state if they want to build it and they want to cause some hassle to take up some prime land.
And Dave, does anyone think that's going to happen? I mean, AI is where everyone is putting every single investment dollar. And look closely at who is surrounding the president at those dinners. It's tech giants with huge AI businesses who are doing anything and everything the president wants to ensure that they get no regulations and no safety guards. Nobody's going to stop them.
That's the popular mood. That's the Republican plan. In both the states, they're having elections next month. In Virginia, this has been one of Glenn Youngkin's growth strategies. Welcome data centers into Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia already has, from R&D and the defense industry, most of the servers we have in this country, and they're adding data centers to the mix. In New Jersey, that's one of Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate's ideas. We will bring more jobs, we'll create more energy. We want everyone, every company we can, we want to invite them into our state. What if we lose it to somebody else? That is the Republican attitude. That's the attitude at the White House. They're not listening yet to people and look, there's always a lot of don't build this into my community mindset when anything new is happening. The worry in these Virginia communities is really, this isn't like building a factory where you're going to employ people for years and years. Yes, you employ some electrical workers, some union workers. At the end of the day, you create these gigantic centers that benefit Meta and Amazon and these companies. You create lots of noise. You use up land. When will the politicians listen to them? That's the question they're asking. So far, Republicans have the mindset that you just described, which is, hey, this is good for growth. This is good for investors. Let's do more of it.
All right, Justin, some of these tech companies are building their own power plants to avoid dealing with outdated power grids. And we should note that President Biden's infrastructure law included money to upgrade grids, but the current administration has already rolled that back. So tech firms are going to have private power, but what about the rest of us?
Mate, I just think the economics goes a little bit differently here. This is basically the electricity is the new eggs. What happened with eggs, of course, was we got the bird flu. We didn't have as many eggs as people wanted. And we had to figure out our way out of that. And actually, markets are a remarkably good way of doing this. What happened was prices went up. And when the price of eggs goes up, you know what farmers start to do? They start to get a whole lot more chickens. And we're basically at the first point in that egg shortage right now, which is people are after a lot of electricity, this time for the power grid. This time for AI, what are they going to do? They're using a lot of it. The price goes up. What's the next stage of this game? The next stage is that if it becomes really profitable to generate electricity, people are going to enter the market. And just like egg prices came back down, these electricity prices are going to come back down. So I'm a lot less worried about this than some of the folks who are voting in the elections that Dave's following.
But Dave, isn't this fight also about whether we're going to spend to develop clean, renewable energy or keep using fossil fuels?
It is. That's one reason the Democrats have seized on this, because they are watching the Trump administration cancel a lot of green energy projects that they believed, and the investors certainly thought so, were going to lower energy prices. This is one of their answers. They want more clean energy. They also want more thinking about who is paying for these for your energy bill. And in Virginia, there are long-lasting state laws that are very beneficial to companies. You build something, you're guaranteed access to electricity. The debate is among Democrats at the moment is not full stop. There are candidates who want a full stop. It's more, what if we tax them a bit more? What if they're building their energy and they that sounds great. In the meantime, should they be getting tax benefits? Should other people be getting some benefit for living near them? That's the attitude. It's not full on Luddism. Let's never build any of them. It is more of that. Is that there's some way for us to benefit from this, but again, that is not locally. People are looking at those bills. They see an obvious reason they've increased, and maybe they're not paying attention to every announcement of what was funded by the IRA that got killed by Trump. All they see are companies with a lot of money celebrating their stock price increases, building in their communities. And they say they're benefiting, I'm not. It's pretty much that simple politically.
Justin, let's go broader. You know, there's lots of warnings out there that an AI bubble may be forming in the markets. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says that's not the case. Some AI projects may fail, but this is the future and the place to go all in. What do you think?
Look, I think that people who are confident that there's a bubble are almost always wrong, because the whole point is if we actually knew, we wouldn't be in the bubble. So, you know, anyone who says they know we are, anyone who says they know we're not, they're overconfident. Look, there's some chance, but there's also, you know, if you look hard at the sorts of jobs that might be done by AI, the extent to which it could get used in our economy, the extraordinary value in which it could create, it's so large that it's certainly possible that the sorts of investments we're seeing and the sorts of valuations that we're seeing actually do make sense. It's also sort of possible this thing's not as good as we hope. But I'm actually an optimist. I think this is wonderful. What a beautiful industrial revolution we're in the middle of, where, you know, previously I had to punch numbers into Excel. It was all very boring. And now my computer can do all sorts of magical things. And Steph, with the time I save, I'm going to write poetry, I'm going to sing, and I'm going to walk on the beach. And I'm going to thank AI for that.